All right, let's get into it. So, when you think about wind power, what pops into your head? It's probably those enormous three-bladed giants, right? Just spinning away out in some field. But what if I told you there's a totally different kind of wind turbine out there, one that's built not for the open plains, but for the chaotic, windy heart of our cities?
See, on the left, that's the turbine we all know and recognize. It's absolutely perfect for the plains, where the wind is smooth, it's predictable. But the one on the right, that's a whole different beast. It's built for the city. It's a complete rethink of how we can capture wind energy right where we need it the most.
And this brings us to a really interesting problem, something we could call the urban wind paradox. Basically, the very places that demand the most energy, our super dense cities, are also the absolute worst places to try and put traditional wind turbines.
Yeah, that classic turbine design is called a horizontal axis wind turbine, or a HOT for short. And look, it's a genuine marvel of engineering, but it's picky. It has one very specific need: smooth, consistent wind, what engineers call laminar flow. It's what you get offshore or over huge flat landscapes. But in a city, oh, it's a total disaster. The tall buildings create these urban canyons that whip the wind into a chaotic, swirling mess. It's gusty, it changes direction every second, and that turbulence is the mortal enemy of a hot air tow. Not to mention, they need a ton of space, and they can be pretty noisy.
So, how in the world do you solve this paradox? Well, you don't. You just use a different tool for the job. And it's time for us to meet the hero of this story, the Vertical Axis Wind Turbine, or VAW.
So what exactly is it? Well, instead of spinning like a giant propeller, a VAWT spins around a central vertical pole. Honestly, the best way to picture it is like a revolving door, you know? It's just perfectly designed to catch wind no matter which way it's blowing through. And this unique design gives it a genuine superpower, one that makes it pretty much the perfect fit for a city. And that superpower is called omni-directionality.
So what does that even mean? It's actually super simple. A traditional turbine has to physically pivot and turn to face the wind. A VAWT couldn't care less where the wind is coming from. Gusts from the north, south, swirling between skyscrapers, it doesn't matter. It catches it all the time.
Now, VAWTs actually come in two main flavors. On the left, you've got the drag-based type, the Savonius. It's basically pushed by the wind, kind of like an old water wheel. These things are tanks, super durable. Then on the right, you have the lift-based Darius, which people often call an egg beater. It uses airfoils, like an airplane wing, so it gets pulled by the wind. That means much higher speeds and a lot more power.
But this whole thing isn't just about clever physics. It's really about designing a piece of power infrastructure that can actually be a good neighbor, you know? Something that can fit right into a packed urban environment.
And first and foremost, they're quiet, like really quiet. That classic whoosh whoosh sound you hear from a giant turbine, that comes from the blade tips moving at incredible speeds. VAWTs spin much, much slower, which makes them virtually silent. You could stick one on top of an apartment building and no one would ever know. And get this, maintenance is a total game changer. For a traditional turbine, the heavy stuff, the gearbox, the generator, it's all 100 meters up in the air. For a VAWT, all that complex machinery is right at the base. Sometimes it's even inside the building's mechanical room. It's more like servicing an air conditioner than performing a high-wire act. And for anyone concerned about wildlife, this part is key. To a bird, a VAWT doesn't look like an invisible, blurry flicker in the air. It looks like a solid, slow-moving object. That makes it dramatically easier for them to see it and avoid it, which is absolutely critical in urban areas with lots of birds. Okay, but this is where the vision gets even bigger, even cooler. We're starting to move beyond just putting a turbine on a building and into a future where the building is the power plant. This quote just nails it, right? It really captures that shift in thinking. It's all about integration, where generating energy becomes a fundamental part of how we design our buildings in the first place. And here's how that works. Architects are now designing skyscrapers with these huge strategic openings. The building itself actually acts like a massive funnel. It squeezes the wind, which compresses it and makes it go way faster. And then it feeds that high-speed air directly into turbines that are built right into the structure. It's brilliant. The economic argument for this is incredibly strong, too. When you generate electricity exactly where you use it, you don't lose that 5 to 10% of your power just sending it over long-distance wires. Plus, and this is huge, during a blackout, these buildings can become self-sufficient islands of power, keeping the lights on for critical services. Now, it's really important to get this straight.
VAWTs are not here to replace those massive offshore wind farms. You can think of them more like the infantry of the clean energy transition. They're the specialized units designed to go where the big guns can't, right into the complex, dense terrain of our cities.
And that leaves us with one last, pretty fascinating question to think about. As we look at the future of our cities, are we finally starting to realize that the sky right above our heads, the air moving down our streets, isn't just empty space, but a vast, untapped river of clean energy just waiting for us to harness it?